First off, my name is Chef David Rose, and I come from a family of chefs. Mom was a chef, Dad was a chef. Mom was a chef at a nursing home, and Dad was a chef at a villa for nuns. And I come from a huge, when I say huge, I mean huge Jamaican family. I'm one of 8, Mom's one of 13, Dad's one of 10, and their brothers and sisters have 5, 6, 8 kids. So growing up, I was just always surrounded by good food because of the culture, because of my parents' profession, and just the flavors, the bold spices, the bold seasonings you find in Jamaican food, where it's not only spicy but very flavorful as well. Some of my fondest memories of food are going to work with my parents at a young age and just being like, nothing more than 5, 6 years old. I was a bad kid, always getting into trouble, running around, just doing all sorts of stuff. And just the admiration and love they got from the people they cooked for, it was something that kind of planted a seed in my head at a young age that always kind of stuck with me. Through high school, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't much of an academic. I got good grades, but I wasn't an academic. And after high school, I was trying to figure out, kind of what my next step in life was, what my next move in life was, what my career choices would be. So fast forward 18 to 21, I was bartending, just kind of figuring stuff out. Moved to Atlanta, Georgia on a whim when I was 21 and just fell in love with the city. So I'm bartending, and I'm working here, working there, nightclubs, restaurants, bars, and I'm at home watching the TV and I see a commercial. It says, I remember it, it's clear as day. It says, Le Cordon Bleu, realize your culinary dreams. And that's when it used to be in Tucker on La Vista. It's no longer there now. But I went to the campus and everything just kind of just clicked. On the cartoons, like that light bulb goes off, the light bulb went off in my head and I just knew. I took a tour of the facility, looked at the curriculum, talked to a couple of the teachers and instructors, and I just knew that was it for me. And it was great. It was amazing. It didn't feel like school. Every day I went in with a hungry attitude, a positive mindset, because it was something I was genuinely interested in, something I was genuinely passionate about, something that I saw myself doing on a day-to-day basis and doing it for the rest of my life. And it's very unfortunate that some people go their entire lives sometimes without finding that one passion, finding that one thing they connect with, and the thing they can do for life as their profession. So I was fortunate to find that.
Tell the audience about one of the emerging trends,
yes,
which is sourcing to plate. So
yes,
we've all heard of farm to table, but there's sourcing to plate. Tell us about that in the relationship
sourcing to plate. Well, I know a lot of people now, just like society in general, want to know where their food comes from. Long gone are those days where, TV dinners and bag dinners and overly processed food. They still exist, but people, it's trending now. They're moving more away from that, and they want to know where their food's coming from, when it was sourced, who it was sourced from. They want to know the diet. They want to know where they live. So as much as you can get closer to that source, the better you off. So whenever I get a chance, I usually opt to go to a farmer's market or directly to the butcher or directly to the farmer. So I went to the farmer, got these oxtails. It was actually, the good thing about the farmer's market I like is you get the whole oxtail and you get your chance to kind of, determine what the length of the oxtail you want, the cut you want. So it's a really high quality product when you go to them because you give them your specs and your dimensions on what you're looking for. So I actually went to the Auburn Farmers Market, one of my favorites next to the cab, and they gave me some really, really good oxtails here today. So you see that real luscious, not too fatty, real nice cut, really beautiful color on that meat. So the more you can actually get to the source, what you're doing, the better off you are. You can actually talk educatedly to your customers as far as where it's from, and that gives them a sense of, comfort and a sense of, the value for their dollar, knowing where it comes from, as opposed to a box of unidentified meat, So as of recently, actually, we had some really, really good lobster that came from Maine, sustainably sourced, no traps, everything caught by hand, and just really, really great. And it's just the flavor profile is amazing. And as you know, with Maine lobster, it's a lot sweeter because of that cold water. So very, very good. Good question, Karen.
So from your produce
Yes.
to your meats to your
Produce
seafood,
to your meats to your
having
seafood,
that
the whole line.
relationship,
Yes, having that relationship definitely is amazing. Yeah. First off, who has never had oxtails before? If you don't know what oxtail is, or never had it, ever seen it, oxtail, this is actually right here, the joints from the actual tail of the cow. All right, so first things first, a little bit of kosher salt, a little bit of black pepper, paprika, a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder. Any Jamaican oxtail dish, you're gonna always have the browning in it. The browning is like a caramel of sorts. It gives it a real nice, deep, rich, dark flavor and color. So you put that in there as well. All right, mix that with your hands there. All right.
You mentioned
Yes.
this is your inspiration because this is from your roots.
This is from my roots,
But
yes.
is there an interest in more and more in these different global flavors?
Oh yeah, most definitely. As far as this year and in the current situation of the States right now, a lot of international flair as far as like, Filipino driven food where it's a lot of vinegary, a real acidic type foods as well, and a lot of fusion like you might have in your Filipino dish like adobo. Also Indian, where you're seeing a lot of different type of restaurants of like fusion, like Indian barbecue, Indian tacos, Indian wraps, and it's just more than curry where you have the tiki masalas and all that stuff as well, where America and people in general are embracing these international flavors. Long gone are the days where it's just pizza or hamburgers or sandwiches. People are actually wanting to cross borders, cross boundaries, and just eat the world if they can, so to speak, and it's a beautiful thing. Korean also, Korean barbecue, Korean tacos as well. You see kimchi in virtually any type of menu. I actually make a collard green kimchi, again doing that fusion of Southern and kind of Korean, and a lot of fermented foods and vegetables as well. All right, so what you want to do here, get your heat on here. All right, crank that up.
Let me know if there's anything more.
Okay, yeah, you're good. A little bit of oil in there.
So stand back.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, stand on back. Stand on back, yes. All right, so you got our oil going right there. And what you want to do whenever you're braising anything, you want to get a nice hard sear on there to seal the tenderness in, seal the juiciness in of that meat. So once you get a nice hard sear on there, you take your oxtails out the pan. All right. And then from there, you want to add your veg. So I got some onions, I got some garlic, and I got pepper. All right. So just kind of saute that there. You want to try and saute there, Karen? Come on.
Absolutely, I can do that.
There you go.
Okay.
So you kind of jostle that, shake the pan while you're doing that. There you go. All right. She's doing pretty good. All right. Good job, good job. So from there, you want to always be building flavors throughout every step of the cooking process. So then I want to add, it's a little bit of sweetness in there. So with any Italian sauce, you want to have some type of wine. So I have some port to add some depth and a little bit of sweetness as well. So when we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of tomatoes. You want to use the San Marzanos, really, really good tomatoes. All right. And that's going to add some nice color and a little bit more depth in the flavor. Good. So once the tomatoes start to break down, you want to go ahead and add some beef stock.
You want me to knock them down, like tear it
Oh,
apart?
you're good, you're good,
Okay.
you're good. To kind of bolster that beef flavor. So I think it's almost there. It's gonna go ahead and add those oxtails back in there. All right, and again, it has really tough connective tissue. You wanna let that go for at least 3.5 to 4 hours to break it down. Break down the tough connective fibers in there and just looking good, don't that meat nice and tender and luscious. Because you want it to be finger licked.
Oh, we sure do.
Yes, we sure do.
Falling off the bone. And
Falling off the bone.
so you boil it this entire time? or
Yes, so you go and you bring it up to a boil, and then when it comes to a boil, you want to bring it down to a medium simmer
Okay.
to let that simmer. Because you want to have some of that and retain some of that jus, because you're going to use that as your gravy, as your sauce for your ragu later on.
Right,
Yeah. When it's done, you just pull it. If you can look right here, it just shreds right off the bone, just like that. Now, traditionally, with Jamaican food. You just go ahead and eat it right off the bone as is.
Oh, that's how I
But
yeah.
again, we're kind of doing like a little Italian twist to that, all right? Once it's done cooking, you take it off, you put it in the fridge. Once it solidifies, you skim that fat off of there. You don't want to have all that fat in your sauce. From there, you take the oxtails out, bring it back up to a boil, reduce it by half, and then you toss the oxtails back into the sauce. That way, the majority of the fat is gone. You still have that flavor, those rich flavors you built, and it's a really, really good ragu as well. So from here, you pretty much build the ragu. So I got a little of that jus in here right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. Reserve that for a second. So that essentially right there is the ragu. So we have our ragu. The great thing about pasta is that it's not as hard as most people think, and it gives me, I know me personally, a sense of accomplishment whenever I make it. So first things first, with this gnocchi, it is a potato gnocchi. So what I did was, I blanched off some whole potatoes. With this, the enemy of gnocchi is moisture. So you want to drought as much moisture as you can with the gnocchi. So you just kind of chop it up right there. All right. All right. So a really, really good tool for just mashing potatoes in general and making purees is the food mill, or rice is really good as well. So essentially it looks like this. It has a little sieve at the bottom, and you just turn and crank, and it's gonna push through all that potato and then nice and smooth and nice and velvety and nice and strained as well. So you go ahead, put that on there. Take some of the potatoes. You don't want to overload it too much at one time. And you just turn. Alrighty. So you keep doing all that until your potatoes are done. And a really good fail-safe recipe for my gnocchi is I use about 2 pounds of russets. Russets are really good, nice creamy potato. I use 2 pounds of that. I use about a cup to a cup and a quarter of flour, 1 egg, teaspoon of salt. Get you really, really good gnocchi all the time, 10 out of 10 times. All right? So once you're done with that, you have that right there. You got that nice, smooth, pureed potato. All right? From there, you want to add your egg. Yeah, crack it in the bowl, yes. And I'm sure you guys already know, and you can before you add it into the actual addition, you know, go ahead and crack it in the bowl. So if there's shells in there, you can pick it out, prevent a travesty before it happens. All right? So you put the 1 egg in there, pinch of salt. I like to sift my flour before I put it in there so it keeps it real light, real airy, because your gnocchi should be really pillowy, really light, and just not dense at all. So by sifting the flour, you're getting rid of that by having a more lighter product. So you just go ahead and put that in there as well. All right. And from there, you just want to incorporate it. You don't want to overwork it too much, because if you overwork it too much, it's going to make it a real dense gnocchi. All right, so at this point where I add my proportions, I just kind of want to eyeball it as far as the consistency to make sure it's not too wet, it's not too dry, and kind of form into a mound for our dough. What we're looking for is this product right here. So after you knead it, let it rest for a while, for about 30 seconds to about a minute or so. You want to go ahead and cut a piece of the dough off. All right. All right. Then you want to flour your surface. All right. Okay. From there, you want to roll it in about, say, about a 3/4 of an inch as far as the roll we're looking for. All right. About so. And from there, use your trusty dusty bench scraper. This is one of my favorite tools. It has multiple applications. Today we're using it for cutting gnocchi. Flour in the blade is gonna help that release and have it not stick. So you just go ahead, cut it into about, 3/4 the inch portions. Just cut through. And then from there, we wanna go ahead and add our gnocchi to the water. All right. Boom. From there, it's fresh gnocchi, fresh pasta is gonna always cook quicker than your frozen or dried pasta. So that's gonna take about 2-3 minutes tops, if even that. All right. You let that go do its thing. In the meanwhile, we're gonna go ahead, get our pan ready to saute it. Because I don't know about you, when I like eating pasta, I get different, I like getting different contrasting flavors and textures. So you can have that nice, pillowy, tender gnocchi with that nice crisp outside, because we're about to saute it in some oil and butter.
Okay.
And butter makes it better, all the time, yes. I was classically trained French, and if anything was in a recipe, it was butter. And I'm sure who have been in French training can vouch for that as well. All right. All right, so what we want to do right now is get that nice, hard, crispy sear on the gnocchi. And at this stage, once you get that nice, crispy sear on there, I like to add a little bit of butter into the pan. Pardon me, Daryl. All right. All right, so you want to get that nice brown on there because the butter is browning and releasing those lactic acids, so that's gonna go ahead and help with the browning of that as well. And something about that real nutty flavor you get from butter when you brown it is just awesome. So you just go ahead and just baste it. All right. Just let it do its thing, But when it starts getting crispy on each side, just want to go ahead and flip it. So let it do that thing real quick. And you see it getting nice and brown right there, Karen?
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. You let that go for about 2 to 3 minutes each side. All right. Can y'all smell that, guys? All right. Nice and browned on there from the brown butter. All right. All right. All right. And then next, go ahead and put our ragu. That's been braising for 3.5, 4 hours. Got some of that jus in there. You just top that right on the gnocchi. And you have pasta, you want to always do a little Parmesan cheese. I know for me, I'm a huge fan of Parmesan cheese. So you want to go and make it rain. The higher the better. It's scientifically proven the higher you shred your cheese, the more tasty it's going to be. All right? And voila, there you have it. You have your fresh made gnocchi with a Jamaican Italian style ragu. Bon appetit.